Alright guys, I'm going to go over Firestarter 13 today. So once again, this is another Algebra 1 review concept. It's just systems of equations. We have two equations, two variables. That means you can solve for both x and y. You just have to somehow make one equation with one variable. Before we went over substitution. So this is elimination. Elimination is usually what I do most of the time. I think it's a little bit easier than substitution. But it really depends on how the problem is set up. So, first thing I'm going to do is I want to make sure that I have everything lined up. What I'm talking about is the letters. So I have x's on top of x's, y's on top of y's, numbers on top of numbers. Alright? So that's good. It means step one, already done. Alright? Step two, I want to make matching coefficients with opposite signs. So that means I want to have either the x's be the same number in front with opposite signs, or the y's. In this problem, it's already done for you. I already have that done because the y's right here have the same number with opposite signs. That makes my life really, really easy because now I'm going to add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up and down, or I'm going to add vertically. So I want to add that here. I want to say add vertically. So add vertically means up and down. Alright? So I'm going to add my resulting equation. 7x plus 5x is 12x. The y's end up canceling each other out, equals 24. Now this resulting equation is usually really easy to solve. So if this is difficult, if this step is difficult, then you probably messed up. Alright, now I'm going to use PEMDAS backwards. So remember how to get rid of the 12. Because it's multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by 12. I end up with x equals 2. Now I'm going to take that 2, I'm going to plug it into the... So I did that one. I solved the resulting equation. I'm going to take 2, I'm either going to plug it into this x, or I'm going to plug it into that x. It really does not matter, whichever one you want. So I'm going to pick the second one. So I'm going to write 5, but instead of x, I'm going to put an empty set of parentheses. Minus 3y equals 4. And I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to plug it in right there. So now I end up with 10 minus 3y equals 4. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, because I got to get the letter by itself. So then I end up with negative 3y equals negative 6. I divide both sides by negative 3. I end up with y equals positive 2. So I have an x, I have a y. That means I'm going to write my answer as an ordered pair, 2, 2. That's the most common mistake I see, is people forget to write it as an ordered pair. And guys, you can always check your work too. If you're not sure if you did this right or wrong, you could plug x and y into both equations. So I could put 2 in here and 2 in here. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 6 is 20. That works. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 2 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. It works. Since they both work, I know I did it right. Alright, number 2. Number 2 is a little bit harder because the second step is not done for us. So everything is lined up. Look, x's, y's, numbers, equal signs. Everything's lined up. Now I want to make my matching coefficients with opposite signs. So I either want the x's to be the same number with opposite signs, or the y's. So, it really does not matter which one you do. So there are two ways to do this. I could make the x's go away first, which means I'm going to multiply everything on top times negative 2. That would make the top negative 6x plus 12y equals negative 38. Look, all three things got multiplied by negative 2. Now the bottom, I'm actually going to keep the same. So the bottom's going to be 6x plus 2y equals negative 4. Now, step 1 is done. So I add my equations together. The x's cancel. I get 14y equals negative 42. I divide both sides by 14. So I divide by 14, divide by 14. I get y equals negative 3. Now I take negative 3 and I can either plug it in there or I can plug it in there. It does not matter which one. I'm just going to use the bottom one. So I'm going to say 6x plus 2 instead of y. I'm going to put negative 3 equals negative 4. So I'm going to put negative 3 in right there for y. So I get 6x minus 6 equals negative 4. I add 6 to both sides. I get 6x equals 2. Divide both sides by 6. I get x equals 2 over 6, which my best answer is going to be x equals 1/3. So I have an x, I have a y. That means my answer is going to be 1/3 because x goes first. Maybe you have 0.33. That's fine. Negative 3. All right. Now that's option 1. Option 2 is I'm going to make the y's go away this time. So option 2 says I'm going to multiply this by 3, this by 3, and this by 3. So option 2 is going to keep the top equation the same this time. 3x minus 6y equals 19. And the bottom equation is going to become 18x plus 6y equals negative 12. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did earlier. I'm going to add vertically. So I'm going to add up. I'm going to add the y's cancel out. I get 21x equals 7. I divide both sides by 21 because that's how you get rid of the number in front of there. So 7 over 21 is going to be 0.33, or x equals 1/3. Now to get you another answer, you're going to take 1/3. You're going to plug it in to the top or the bottom. I'll use the top this time. So I'm going to say 3 instead of x. I'm going to put 1/3. So I'm putting the 1/3 in right there. Minus 6y equals 19. I get 1 minus 6y equals 19. I minus 1 from both sides. I get negative 6y. I'm sorry, I skipped a step. I get negative 6y equals 18. Divide both sides by 6. Y equals negative 3. So look, I have an x, I have a y with two different ways to solve it. So that's